Aloha! It's Friday, December 13th, and I'm back with another episode of Mohr About, the show in which me, Yair Mohr, am mocking my own name and talking a bit more in depth about things that I think aren't discussed in the right ways in other places. And today, surprise, surprise, the issue the whole world has been talking about for a week and almost a half now, the assassination of the UnitedHealth CEO Brian Thompson last Wednesday in New York City. I know you've heard tons and tons of things about it, let's say that. And I think no one showed enough of a nuance, so I'll try to make a few points about it. Let's start with the glee, the joy, all those words you've heard thrown around. Many TV shows had their either anchors or audience sympathize with the killer instead of the killed. And right-wing media mainly was throwing around, oh no, how dare you, he was a father of three and a husband, and well, I have a surprise for you, and forgive me for doing that, but I have to. If we're going that direction, I'm invoking Godwin's law. Beware. So here's a list. Let's go to that screen. Here's a list, a little list I found online of terrible dictators, and I added my own info for them. So Adolf Hitler killed 17 million people. You could say, oh no, how dare you be happy about his death? He was a loving dog dad. He had a beautiful dog. Go on. Joseph Stalin, responsible for the deaths of 20 to 30 million people. He had 4 kids, including one adopted. Oh, what a beautiful soul he had. How dare you mock him and hate him? Onwards, Pol Pot, responsible for 2 million dead, had 1 kid. Okay, at least he had. Mao Zedong, the record breaker, responsible for 45 million dead people. He had 10 kids. Mind you, 10 kids. What do you want from him? He had 10 beautiful children, right? Kim Il-sung had 4 kids, I think, right? 7 kids, also responsible for millions dead. Benito Mussolini was responsible for, I think I skipped him in my list. In my note list, we have Idi Amin. He had 43 children. That's what happens when you rape women every other day. Responsible for up to 500,000 dead. But he raised 43 new kids in this world, right? Pinochet, responsible for thousands dead, had 5 kids. Saddam Hussein, hundreds of thousands dead, had 4 kids. 2 of them died with him, I think, Uday and Qusay. And last and not least, Franco, thousands dead, 1 kid. So you see, if you go that way, you cannot let your moral compass revolve around, oh no, but he had a family, because all bad people have families too, okay? It doesn't mean a thing. So shut up with that. Onwards. Let's touch stone about the so-called manifesto. Manifesto, it's barely 3 pages handwritten. So I have the manifesto here. I took it off. Let's go to that screen again. Yeah, you see that's from Ken Klippenstein newsletter because it was just the first place I found that had the whole thing written down and not read aloud. To the feds. I'll keep this short because, by the way, I have to say, the killer, Luigi Mangione, not Mangione. Italian name, Italian pronunciation. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, which is a 3D design protocol, a lot of patience. The Spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife or of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the US has the #1 most expansive healthcare system in the world, which is not entirely true, yet we rank roughly 42 in life expectancy. United is the largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. Well, I'm a tech journalist, and I noticed a few missing names there, so I went to the site I use a lot in my work, companiesmarketcap.com, and brought up the list of US listed companies. We have Apple at #1. Let's zoom in so everyone can see, even if you're on a phone. Apple is #1, Nvidia #2, Microsoft is #3, Amazon is #4, Alphabet #5. Still haven't got to UnitedHealth. Meta Platforms, Facebook #6, Tesla #7, Berkshire Hathaway #8, #9 is Broadcom, the chip company, #10 Walmart, 11 the drug company Eli Lilly, #12 JP Morgan Chase, #13 Visa, #14 Oracle, #15 ExxonMobil, 16 UnitedHealth. So the biggest, it's barely in the top 20, okay? Barely even there. So another nonsense detail. So for such a smart guy, we see, oh yeah, I didn't zoom in on that one. He wasn't that smart apparently. Yeah, that's it. And onwards, where were we? Yeah, it has grown and grown, but as our life expectancy has our life expectancy grown? Not. No. The reality is, these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have eliminated the corruption and agreed decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Yeah, well, I think this has to be taken with a grain of salt, because a person who bothered to write such a beautiful elegy about why he's killing a CEO of a health insurance company. By the way, first, people say he killed him because of his own health issues. Well, should I or shouldn't I dissect the guy's looks? I think it's been done a lot, but actually no one said that, so I'll try. If you look at his photos, and you look at his old photos, look at his face, look at his body, Do we have a bigger version of that photo? It was here when I checked this page last time. Maybe this one. Yeah. Anyway, you see he was very buff. He had a very handsome face, and now if you look at his prison photo, his face is like half the width it was. His body is a lot thinner, so it's clear he had a health issue or a mental health problem that made him stop working out. That's a runner's body. He doesn't. That's not how someone who trains like in a gym looks. Yeah, sorry, I had to do that because everyone does, and nobody talks about that fact. Everyone says he was hot. He was before. Now he's a lot less because something happened there clearly. So clearly something changed. And then he went and killed the executive of an insurance company. Why? We've been told he was very smart, extremely rich, and hated the insurance company. Well, if you're rich, it doesn't matter how bad the insurance company is. You'll get whatever you want, whatever operation you need. And he had an operation, so he could pay for it. So no grudge to be held there, right? Something odd is going on. If he had to hate anyone, it's probably the doctors who failed in that operation that he had in his back to transplant things that will fix whatever problem he had from his back injury. And he didn't kill a doctor. He didn't kill a hospital manager. He killed the insurance guy who he shouldn't have a strife with. What else? Yeah, he probably called them leeches because these indecipherable. I assume there was a word like leeches there. Well, there's a lot of leeches. Why kill the insurance guy? I've heard conspiracy theories online about that specific insurance guy being on the verge of revealing some corruption in the industry and being corrupt himself. So there's that. Does it have anything to do with the killing? I don't know. But when he says basic CAD, to print his gun, his ghost gun, so-called, he had to have a pretty good computer to deal with those 3D design files because my laptop cannot run them. The software that is used to deal with them. And then he had to have a 3D printer, which costs several $100s, probably thousands, because this is a very complicated 3D printing. It's not your regular pop doll that you put in the background of a YouTube studio. And so we had to have the computer for it, the 3D printer for it, the materials. It's not regular plastic. It has to be something more robust that can shoot several bullets without melting. Another point you should be thinking about. And what else was I going to say? And all the media is talking about is mainly that strange manifesto. By the way, another point. After he was arrested and arraigned and brought to court, he shouted at the press corps that it's ridiculous and disrespecting the American people or something. Why? If you already confessed in writing to doing it to save time, what's the problem with you being brought to court and arrested? Something's odd there. He either has a very major mental problem of schizophrenia or something, or he's not the guy. I mean, this, forgive me for saying that, but this this text reeks of too predictable killer manifesto. These manifestos always come out after someone shoots someone, which happens in the US very regularly, a bit too regularly, if you ask me. That there are people who pay attention to those details, and apparently it happens about every 6 weeks, those mass shootings in the US. And I mean, is there something in the air there that makes someone shoot someone else every 6 weeks? I don't think so. I think someone wants these things to happen every 6 weeks. So either those people are pushed to it, or some of these things have to happen with the authorities, let's say not approval, but an eye looking the other way, so that they have reason to go to the media and the Congress and say, "Oh, look, we have so many dangerous people. Give us more money to protect the people," which never works, by the way, for some reason, because it always happens again. How? The FBI has probably the highest budget of any law enforcement agency in the world, in the Western world, or the entire world. And they have all the technical means to spy on everyone, and the laws that permit them to do it almost as their heart desires. So something is very, very rotten there. We'll see if Trump can change that, or if he even wants to. And I have to say a last thing. I think this is the last point I wanted to make. Last night I watched the new Netflix documentary, which, by the way, is horrible. Don't watch it. It's something's off there from the first frame to the last, but it was very interesting for me to watch because I, in my daily job as a tech reporter, have reported on the case for years, and it was interesting to see the people around the case speaking about how it happened or not and explaining things. I'm talking about the movie The Biggest Heist, about the Bitfinex heist from 2016, whose perpetrators were arrested about 2 years ago and sentenced just last month. And they already have the documentary out, which is, wow. How do they do that? So, in that movie, there were a few points I want to talk about. This guy, his name is, where's my notes? Zach Sirota. He's Ilya Lichtenstein's, the perpetrator's childhood friend. And towards the end of the movie, he says, "If I could say anything to Ilya right now, in a way, I'm kind of proud of you, dude. You did something that not many people can say they've done, even if it was against the law." That's my transcription. He's worshipping the heist. And then comes this guy comes on and says something even worse. His name is Piers Larrick. He's a videographer. He made a recruitment video for the company, for the first company that Ilya Lichtenstein founded. And he says, maybe they, this is a very long quote because I started off trying to make the point that he's legitimizing it, but then I thought, it's not exactly, he goes on, it's a train of thought that goes from maybe that's what they thought, and then eventually it's what I think. So listen to the whole train of thought here. Maybe they just got wrapped up in this idea that you've not really that you're not really hurting anyone. This is fake money. It's monopoly money. It's not real. And if you think about it, who really did they hurt? Although valued at a lot of money, did they put anyone out by taking it? If they took it from the poor, it'd be one thing. But they kind of Robin Hooded, if you ask me. So he says they stole from the rich, which a lot of Bitfinex customers were not. Many people had their life savings there, and one of them is interviewed in the film. This is not Robin Hooding. Taking Bitcoin, even if you think it's not a real money, which it really is not, but this is not a question for this video. That's not Robin Hooding. Robin Hooding would be taking it from the government, but they didn't take it from the government. They took it from hardworking private people, little guys who put a little money aside, thinking it was like a bank with a very, very high interest rate, which turned out to be correct a bit too late because, funnily enough, all those customers got their money back without any interest. So that's, not so cool. And what was I saying? I think I made my point clear, right? But when your news media deals with, where's that image? This is from News Nation. This is Ashley Banfield, the host, and Alex Capariello, the reporter. He's standing outside the jail where Mangione was held, or is held, and they're interviewing the prisoners together. So she's asking a question on the live broadcast, and he's waiting for the prisoners to see it on TV and shout the answers through the window. And the questions that were so important for them to ask were, number one, for her, number one, does Mangione has TV in his cell so he can watch us too? Which is completely moronic. Is that what you care about? And then the second question is even worse. They actually brought up the menu for that specific prison, the cafeteria menu, and asked the prisoners if the food was any good. If this is your media, you're fucked. And you should expect way more from people who tell you what's happening than asking about the prison menu where someone who just killed someone is jailed. This is stupid. This is even British tabloids have more self-respect than doing that. Okay? This is absolutely horrendous. Yeah, don't believe anything you see on media. And I'm not saying one side of the media or another. Everyone is lying. I've said it here several times. And if they're not lying, they're manipulating. It's just as much as you can, do your own research, like I try to do when I have the time and the nerve and the energy. And that's all for today, I think. And I'll hopefully see you next week.